Hello everyone, welcome back to the Strong with Julie podcast. Today's episode is part 2 of the Q&A that we did 2 weeks ago. In the show notes, I listed out every single question that we're gonna go over, and I will also have some sort of timestamp so that if you have just one specific question, you can skip there. I do like doing Q&As on this long form content a little bit better because sometimes when it comes to like Instagram stories, it's just so fast. So that's why I saved a few from Saturday's Q&A and then from the prior Q&A to go over today, which I'm super excited about. Life updates wise, not too many for you today. The only thing is May 9th is my birthday, and every single year for the past 4 years, I've done a big birthday giveaway. So that is coming up soon. And then I do 2 sales per year. I do a Mother's Day sale and a Black Friday sale. My Mother's Day sale, to keep it separate from my birthday giveaway, is gonna be next week. So just keep an eye out for that. You can join my email list, which is linked in my Instagram bio, and I'll also put it in the show notes if you guys wanna sign up to get access early to those discounts, which is super exciting. So the only thing that I really have to update you on then is that, and then also what I want my birthday gift to be. So I found this lady on Instagram. Her tag is Image Consult Maidenhead. Image Consultant Maidenhead. I think that is her name, okay? She does color analysis. And the reason, or the way that I found her was from our walking club, Franklin Girls Who Walk. A girl came, she was wearing this beautiful like olive green zip up, and I said, oh my goodness, I love that color on you. Like, it brings out your eyes, you're so beautiful. It's like the first time I'm meeting her, I'm like gawking over her, okay? And she's like, it's because I did this color analysis. She did the color analysis 1 year ago with this lady and said it was life-changing. Immediately sent it to Brett, and I was like, this is what I want for my birthday. And we are gonna go to Connecticut for my birthday too, and my mom's throwing us like a Mother's Day engagement party, birthday party, all in one little get together. So I'm excited about that, and I'm gonna meet my brother's girlfriend for the first time. I'm so excited. She seems so cute. Okay, so let's get into these questions, because that's the only life update that I have, because the house is not a house yet. We're not getting it until like June, so there's no updates there, but I'm definitely thinking about the garage gym and doing some group fitness classes in the garage gym for people that are local. Sorry if you guys hear Gus. It's one of those days where I'm like kind of close to my period and I've about had it. So any little thing that he does, I'm just like ignoring it. Anyways, question number 1. How can a working person adapt the influencer lifestyle? That weekend will also be in Connecticut. You guys know how much I love to go visit my family, so I'm excited about that. And my mom's throwing us like an engagement, birthday party, Mother's Day party all in one. Can't wait for that. It's a quick trip, and then I'll be back home, and then in a few short weeks after that, we will be getting the keys to our house. And I've been back and forth on whether or not the garage gym is gonna be black or white. I was kind of debating like a very, very baby pink, but I think Brett already said that's out the window. So that's what I'm excited about right now. My hair and color analysis and birthday and moving. Those are 3 very big things in the month of May. And I have a chat with a wedding venue next Tuesday. Finally, October 11th is when I think it's gonna happen, of 2026, not this year. I think we will. We're gonna get married potentially in Connecticut legally before then. So we just, you know, have that. But let's move on to the questions. So number 1 is, how can a working person adapt the influencer lifestyle? So I thought this was a really good question, and I want it to be the first one just because I put myself in that category, because my morning routine, when I post it, it's very romanticized. And that is obviously for purposes of I want people to enjoy watching it. Like, some days it doesn't always look like that. So that's why always in the caption I'll write my ideal morning routine. Like, this is ideal, this would be perfect. But along the lines and in this crazy thing called the life, it's just ups and downs, and it's not always perfect. So what I would say from my social media episode 2, remember, like, highlight reel is what's on social media. You never know what's going on the next day, the next morning. What was the morning before that? Was her morning really bad the day before? And then she thought, you know what, my morning routine's really bad. Like maybe tomorrow filming it will hold me accountable to do it better. So you just like never know the backstory. So just be skeptical. Don't watch it and be like, wow, her life is so amazing every single day, because you don't know that. But yeah, I would say use it as inspiration. Like pick apart pieces maybe that you can utilize. One thing, I'm trying to think who the influencer is for me that has a very amazing morning routine. I forget what her name is, but the red light therapy, for example, like the mirror, that's one I've been eyeing, and I'm like, ooh, should I add that to my routine? Is that feasible with the amount of time, the time that I wake up right now? It's like early enough, like I'm not waking up any earlier, you know, like 5:30, that's good for me. So that's something that I would think about. Okay, is that super important to me that I would want to add it to my routine? So you guys can pick apart other people's routines and think of it that way, like, oh, what can I take from this and implement into mine? Because I'm my own human, I'm my own person, I don't need to copy that person's routine. And then also just know, like something that I remind myself, because I get a lot of free workout and supplement stuff, which is so nice, but a lot of these influencers get free things in their kitchen, in their house. It just like makes it look so aesthetic, but the stuff is super expensive. So just know, like a lot of people's houses, normal houses, like half the stuff from this house is from like TJ Maxx or the consignment shop, and I like it that way, and it's cheaper, and it helped me save money so that we could buy a house, and that's the way it is. And sometimes their beautiful romantic morning routine is because some of the stuff was free. So again, with the comparison, you just never know. So that's why inspo, and then take what you need or what you want. Next is eating healthy is expensive at times. Any tips to make it more affordable? Yes, I have a few. Also, I have my computer here if you're watching on YouTube, so that's what I'm looking at to see all the questions. And I wrote some notes for each of them. Plan out your meals so you don't waste food. That's the biggest one. Use ChatGPT for this, okay? Go onto ChatGPT if you're like, what the heck is ChatGPT? OpenAI.com, I think that's what it is. My family's budget is $80 a week, and we eat lunch and dinner together. You know, maybe you guys do something different for breakfast. I don't know. Whatever you want to write. You could be as specific as you want. One kid has this allergy. This kid doesn't like this. Mom likes this. Dad's goals are this. Dad's goals build muscle. Mom's goals get leaner. Kid is allergic to this. Like, you can put as many little details and nuances in there that you want. Come up with a Kroger grocery list for me that's under $80, knowing that about my family. It will give that to you, and with updated prices, which is so cool. So utilize features like that. Don't shop at Whole Foods. You don't need to shop at Whole Foods to be healthy. When we first moved here, I was like, bruh, we're near to Franklin, Tennessee, where like all the preppy moms live. I'm going to Whole Foods. I did a Whole Foods haul. It was $450. Literally the same foods that we get now at Kroger. And I got to that cash register, my mouth just about dropped. I started almost hyperventilating, and I wanted to be like, excuse me, can I go put all this stuff back and go to Kroger? Because that's insane. Not everything has to be organic either. Like, if it has, I mean, stuff that I try to get organic, for example, strawberries, because I eat probably 10 million strawberries a day, and it doesn't have the skin protecting it. Like bananas, avocados, things like that, I don't get organic because it has the skin protecting it from, you know, pesticides, things like that. So you can make sacrifices there, for example. And then just wash it well. I get the food wash from Trader Joe's, and I just use that. If I, you know, get organic or not, I use that. But those would be the tips. Just plan ahead, use ChatGPT. Doesn't have to be organic, and be smart about what grocery store you pick. There's well, it depends where you live, but there's different tiers almost everywhere. I mean, dang, I've lived in like 3 different states in the past 3 years, and each of them have different tiers of grocery stores there. Okay, next question. What is one of your favorite podcast episodes you've done, or favorite channels? Okay, so favorite podcasts that I've done, I wrote them down. How to be a more positive person, I like that episode, and it's like a good reminder for me if I'm having a crappy day. Nutrition 101 was a really good one that I usually send any of my newer clients that are more beginners. I will send them that as a little homework for the first week for them to listen to that. That one, or this isn't in my favorites list, but just one that I send them, the macro tracking hacks, one that I did semi-recently. And then the last one that's my favorite, because I just can't pick one, is why all women need to strength train, or should strength train. I really liked that episode, and I thought the 10 points like really brought it home, and I hope made a difference in someone's journey that was, you know, either going the Pilates route or the cardio route and ditching strength. I hope that it made a difference there. Channels wise, I've been listening to Mel Robbins. I've been liking her guests lately. They're really good, and someone said like, oh, she's not recreating the wheel with the let them theory, things like that, but I think it's important that how repetitive she is. Like, it's important because we need to hear things over and over again. And that's why I go to church, right? Like, I go to church, I already know that Jesus died for my sins. I already know all these things, obviously. But like every single Sunday, it's almost like a reset for my brain, and I start the week off strong with that foundation. So I feel like it's good to have these things be repetitive in your ears if that's what you're listening to. At first, I like stopped listening to podcasts like that, like self-helpy podcasts. It's like, I already know all this. But then I was like, no, it's good to have these reminders. Cool. Next, you can only use 2 machines at the gym for glutes. What would you do? No barbells or racks? This is a fun question. Okay, I wrote down hyperextension. I love the hyperextension. I feel my glutes so much in the hyperextension, it's crazy. Hip thrust machine, like specifically the one where you seatbelt yourself in. I love that because the setup is so easy. I cannot stand setting up a barbell. Like, I did it today. I was barbell hip thrusting 225 in our gym over here. The bench, I just can never get it right to my height. It is a workout in itself. It took me about 12 minutes to set up the dang thing because I was adjusting the bench because it was too high, then it was too low. So I love the hip thrust machine. I think in our gym, we're gonna get the Brett Contreras glute bridge thing that he has. It's like the perfect sized bench for it. I think I'm gonna do that over a hip thrust machine. It just takes up too much space. Side note, Brett Contreras did a split reel with one of my videos, and it was so cute, and he was like, Julie Capiziello, and I was like, I cannot wait for my last name to be Patton. How much easier is Patton from Capozello? Like Capozzziello, that's how you spell my last name. Do you know how many times I have to be like, C as in cat, A as in apple, Z as in zebra, Ziggy zebra, I don't know. Anyways, I can't wait to change my last name. And how did we get there? Okay, let's keep going. How's wedding planning going? Okay, I told you guys October 11th is the date. We have a call Tuesday, and I think for like a few months there, I was like so overwhelmed with the thought of wedding planning that I got like paralyzed in the thought of even doing anything. And my job, I always have something to do. Like, I always have some message to answer, some content to plan, something to do there. So anytime I have a free moment, like, I cannot just sit still. Like, Brett thinks I'm nuts. Like, I can't just chill. I take that back. When we are watching White Lotus season 3, I am locked in, actually. That's the one show that I put my phone down because it's so freaking weird. It is so weird. But anyways, besides that, I am constantly working. So then I'm like, where in this day of mine am I gonna plan a wedding? Okay, and where in the heck and bob am I gonna get the money to pay for this wedding when we're buying a house and we have to furnish the house? So you know what? Forget the wedding, Brett. We're eloping is where my head was at. But my mom kind of talked me out of that in the beginning of this week, and that's why we booked the call Tuesday with the venue that we really liked. I fell in love with it. It's here in Franklin. And yeah, so I think we're gonna do that next October. And it's also not tornado season next October at that time, which is super important because we almost wanted April of next year, which is tornado season. Okay, next question. Difference of training abs, body weight, and lifting weight. So it's the same as lifting any other muscle. The more weight that you utilize, the heavier that you lift in that area, the more you progressive overload, increasing weights each week in that area, the more muscle you'll get there, right? Now, there are some people out there that they don't want like visible muscular abs, so then they avoid things like weighted rope cable crunches, or for example, like wood choppers or weighted sit-ups, things like that, which is fine. They don't have to, but I think it's good to throw it in there a little bit. You know, it's important to have a good mixture of things. Now those corset abs is what I call diaphragmatic breathing, those TVA pulls, basically all the exercises women do postpartum to re-strengthen their core. Those are also very important. So I think a good variation of both in a routine is very good. However, you don't need to only emphasize one more than the other if you have a specific goal. So if you're postpartum, you don't want to do weighted right away, right? Because you need to get that foundation again. But if you want more ab definition, you want to go for those weighted exercises. If you have a lot of fat to lose, right? What I would do in that scenario is definitely some weighted core, and then those corset abs tied in, because remember, the more muscle that you have in your body, the more calories you burn sitting here just recording a podcast doing nothing. Okay, so it depends, and I know that's annoying, but the cool thing about programs, and I always tell my clients this too, like, I know you love these certain exercises, I know you saw this certain exercise on YouTube that you want to try or on Instagram, but the thing is, you have a whole lifetime of programs. You can think about this. Like, you should be strength training forever. If your programs are anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks, do the math. How many? That's 12 programs you get to do a month or a year. So maybe you can just like have a notes of different exercises you want to input into your next routine. You can send it to your coach so she can like put them in there. But instead of seeing something new and hopping right on it and wanting instant gratitude for it to be thrown into your routine, let's say you're on like week 3 of your routine of 4, you want to finish that routine out strong. You don't want to just hop from one thing to the next. So that's what I would say there. You know, you can have one 4-month block where you do only weighted core exercises, see how it makes your body feel. The next 4 months you do only body weight core exercises, see how it makes your body feel. The next 4 weeks you do a mixture of both, see how your body feels. And that is called experimenting on your own body, because everyone is different. Next, why do you sometimes feel exercises on one side of your body? Okay, it's really normal to have muscle imbalances. We all do. My left side is so much stronger than my right side. It's not noticeable in things like squats where my left side is going up first. You know, with that type of imbalance, it may be a PT situation where maybe you were potentially injured on one side of your body, so that's a different approach here. I'm just talking about regular day-to-day. Like if I'm arm wrestling someone, I'm using my left hand and I'm winning. Just kidding. But so what I do there is, if I'm doing a single leg or single arm exercise, I always start on my right side. So if I'm doing a lunge, a reverse lunge with my right side first, and I get to 8 reps, and that's my near failure there, take a 30-second-ish break, and then I go match the reps and the weight on my left side, even if I could do more on my left. So that's a little trick right there, because let's say I went to 10 on my left side, but I only did 8 here, and I keep doing that, it's only gonna get more imbalance there. So that's what I would say, is always start with your weaker side and match the reps and sets on your other side. And if you're noticing that this is super prevalent, then most of your workout should include these single-sided exercises. So maybe less like squats, deadlifts, leg extension, leg curl, for example. Those are all using both legs together. Maybe instead you do step ups, lunges, cable kickbacks, and single leg hamstring curls, single leg extensions. You can switch it like that. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay, why is HIIT not ideal for fat loss? So I'm gonna go through 3 reasons. Now, again, everyone's different. My approach is not to include a lot of HIIT in anyone's fat loss phase that I work with with a client, because of these 3 scientific backed reasons. Now, once they're out of that fat loss phase, I don't think HIIT is a bad thing, so I don't want this to demonize HIIT, but just know that not ideal for fat loss, okay? So it makes you hungrier, and the reason that it makes you hungrier is because it elevates your cortisol, increasing cravings for particularly higher carb foods and higher fats. Like, you're not gonna get a craving for a packet of tuna. You're gonna get a craving for like some sourdough bread with butter. Does that make sense? Now, a 2019 study in appetite found that intense exercise can increase appetite regulating hormones like ghrelin. We talked about ghrelin, remember, grr, I'm hungry, versus leptin, like I'm satisfied, which makes it harder to be in a calorie deficit. So it's this inverse effect, basically. Number 2, it's too taxing to do frequently enough for consistent fat loss. So if you were doing HIIT every single day and not doing progress and not getting progress, it's likely because HIIT relies heavily on anaerobic energy systems, which deplete glycogen, which are your carb stores, and spike recovery needs. And if you're not getting enough recovery, enough sleep, your fat loss journey is gonna be a lot slower. Okay, since it's hard to repeat multiple times per week without burning out or injury, overall weekly calorie burn may be lower than moderate steady state training. Number 3, it doesn't burn as many calories as people think. While HIIT burns more calories per minute than less low intensity steady states, most sessions are too short to create significant calorie expenditure. So that's why when you do HIIT exercises, I always say try not to go above 10 to 20 minutes. Whereas with LISS, we're usually in that 20 to 30 minute range. So here, a meta-analysis in Journal of Sports Sciences, this was in 2017, showed no major difference in body fat between HIIT and steady state cardio when energy expenditure was matched. So there's no extra added benefit of doing the HIIT, it just might make you more tired and more hungry. So it might make you more tired, more hungry, and more stressed. It's like 3 things that could be potential negative. It's just like, is it worth it to you? Is that your favorite style of training? It might be worth it for you. And if you can regulate those other 3 things, cool, do it. Next question. Should we start 100 calorie deficit and go until 300? If we reach a plateau, what should we do? So it depends on a few things. It depends how much you're currently eating, what your activity level is, how much fat are you looking to lose, how much weight are you looking to lose, and how much time do you want to lose that weight, do you want to lose that fat, how much muscle mass do you have on your body. These are all really important specific factors that professionals will look at if you sign up to work with them, hopefully if they're a good coach, right? But broadly speaking, I'm going to give advice because that would be so annoying if I was just like, sign up for a professional gatekeeping the answer. So start with a small deficit, so 100 to 300 calories, that's smart. You can start somewhere in the middle if you're new, maybe start at like 150. So why it works? A small deficit protects lean muscle mass. So if you drop too fast, you're gonna risk losing your muscle mass, and you don't wanna do that because that's what's keeping you burning you calories throughout the day. So it reduces hunger and keeps energy and training style high, which are key factors for sustainable fat loss, because the last thing you want to do is drop your calories by 500-600, be so tired, have the crappiest workouts in the world, and then your energy expenditure basically flatlines and you're like the same place that you were prior, not losing anything. So studies show that aggressive deficits often cause muscle hormonal disruption and faster plateaus. A modest 100 to 300 calorie daily deficit, which is about 10 to 15% below your maintenance level. So that's how you can calculate it out. So now let's talk about what to do if you hit that plateau. So plateaus are also normal and not really urgent all the time, right? Like you have to look at the plateau. So these are the 3 steps that I would do when looking at the plateau. You have to audit your consistency first. Are you actually getting your workouts in? Are you actually weighing out your food and being specific on it if you're in a deficit? Are you tracking the weekends, the bites, do you have any tracking errors? Like I said a few podcasts ago, I was tracking, what was it? It was some sauce that I've been using frequently. It was like that raspberry vinaigrette. And I went into MyFitnessPal, I tracked it, 80 calories. I clicked into it, it had no macros. And it was 5 carbs, something like that. But that adds up if I have that twice a day, every single day. So little things like that will definitely add up. And so double check consistency on your MyFitnessPal or Chronometer to make sure everything's good there. And you have a week of true data rather than guessing. Okay. Now, adjust gently. If you've been consistent and still plateaued for 2+ weeks, like you did your audit, you've been on point, you can definitely drop by 50 to 100 calories, or you can increase your steps or your cardio. So let's say you're doing like 2 cardio sessions right now, maybe you do 3. Or you're hitting like 8,000 steps, maybe you up it to 10 to 12,000. So something needs to give there, whether it's food, cardio, or steps. Those are the 3 factors you can manipulate. I wouldn't do all 3 at once. I would do 1 at a time, because then if you hit another plateau, you can manipulate the next, and then you have like 3 potential differences to make in your deficit, especially if you have a larger amount of fat that you want to lose. Preserve muscle at all costs, keep protein high. So don't pull those numbers from your protein, pull them from your carbs or your fats. Keep lifting, avoid big calorie deficits to risk those muscle burns. But big picture wise, fat loss isn't linear. Your body adapts to those numbers. It's constantly trying to adapt. So if you're in a deficit, it's like, okay, let's figure out how to be the same at this number of calories. It just takes a little while for your body to recalibrate to that amount, right? So that's what I would say, just small, little, consistent changes, and adjust based on real feedback and data, not just emotions. Like, oh, I feel like I've not made any progress. Like, look at the data, look at the facts, and make decisions based off of that, not just like random feelings, right? And the next question is my thoughts on refeed days during cuts and reverse diets and timing on refeed days. So it depends. You guys are gonna kill me. It depends because how adherent you are to your cut. If you're taking a free meal once a week, typically you don't need that refeed because your deficit's in that 14 to 16 week block, and then within that 14 to 16 week block, people will naturally have refeeds because either they go on vacation or they go out for a night out for a friend's birthday. Like, it's more lifestyle focused. So where refeeds come from is the bodybuilding and bikini competitor lifestyle. So that's where a strategic refeed happens, and I do see a lot of the times with my clients at least that these timings and these refeeds happen naturally. But for the client that is super adherent, because that's a good thing, you know, that this is a good thing, and it's not a bad thing. Basically what refeeds are, they're days where you up your calories. So it will kind of stop your mind and your body from adjusting to that lower calorie as your new maintenance. So remember, we talked about how your body is like constantly wanting to adjust to the calories that you set it to. So we don't want it to adjust. So that's why you sneak it. Hey, don't adjust there. Like, look, I'm eating 3,000 calories this day instead of my 1,600 calorie deficit, for example. But for refeeds, they also could be helpful if you're hitting a bit of a plateau. So that's something that you can implement, which is kind of cool. If you're feeling like sluggish and it's just like you're maybe like 8 weeks into the deficit and you're like, ugh, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm so tired. So basically it involves eating at maintenance calories with a focus of carbs to temporarily boost that leptin and energy. So upping carbs primarily. So they're best used once weekly during deep stages of a cut. So I'm talking about week like 14, 16 down there. So if they're reversing, it's likely because they were eating super low calories and were trying to work their way back up. So they won't have those hunger spikes and that sluggish feeling because they're getting more fuel than what they were eating for a long time prior. So that's a lot of the scenarios that I personally work with. But if you're reverse dieting from a deficit, right, then you can definitely implement refeed days. So you can do that every 1 to 2 weeks if you want to. In that, and basically again, just going back up to maintenance until you meet your maintenance too, and then just keep an eye on progress on how that's affecting it. That's why I think weekly check-ins are really nice. Okay, next, my thoughts on shelf-stable protein shakes. Are they good or bad? I think they're really convenient. A lot of them have like 15 to 25 grams of protein, and I'm pretty sure once you open them, they have to be refrigerated, which I'm cool with. I like the Fairlife ones, and those aren't refrigerated when you first buy them. So cool with me. Just keep an eye out on how they make you feel. A lot of them have like different fillers, oils, preservatives, things like that that can make you feel a little bit bloated. And you guys know my rule of thumb when it comes to proteiny products: 1 to 2 max per day. Like, you don't want to be having 2 scoops of protein powder, a protein bar, and a protein chip and a protein shake all in one day. That's like way too much for your gut to process. Your gut likes very natural sources of protein, so try to stick to that. But if you're busy, I think grabbing like a Fairlife shake and hitting the road is awesome. One that is refrigerated that I also heard is really good is actually the Chobani ones. They have lots of probiotics in them too, so you could try that out, but again, that needs to be refrigerated. But cool with me. So next one is, how long should I be in a deficit to lose 25 pounds? So if you're looking to lose 0.5 to 1 pound of fat per week, which it's not always going to be perfect, right? Because our menstrual cycle has an effect on this. Typically it would take around 20 to 30 weeks, just to give you that bigger time frame, if you want to do it really sustainably, and then in that process replace some of that fat with muscle, because that could affect how the scale goes down too. So I think if you like using the scale as a unit of measure in the beginning of a fat loss phase is important. Like, I have my clients weigh in. It's just another added addition of me to check their progress, but I don't like solely rely on it. But I think once you get to a state where you're getting a little bit more comfortable with your body fat percentage, you kind of wean off the scale and really go by how you feel, how you're fitting in your clothes, what you're looking like flex specifically. That's why I have my clients flex in their photos. So yeah, it's not about just being in a deficit for X amount of time. It's what's also a manageable deficit for you for a long period of time. Like, can you sustain this? And that's where you could do kind of like cycles of a deficit. You don't have to commit to 20, 30 weeks of a deficit. That's almost more than half of your year, right? So maybe you do like a 14-week and you kind of like break those goals in half. Like, okay, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds in this amount of time, and then I'm gonna take a little break because I know my summer's gonna be crazy and we're gonna be going around everywhere, and I'm gonna be so happy because I'm gonna maintain this weight loss and eat at maintenance. And then the second half of the year I'm gonna go into another deficit. But you have to hold yourself to it, right? If that's your goal. Number 4, hip injury. What activity level to use for TDEE, total daily energy expenditure? You guys are gonna hate me, it depends, right? So if your lower body movement is restricted and you're only training upper body, let's say like 3 times a week, and you have to stay seated, and your NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your steps, is very, very low because you can't move, then you should set yourself to sedentary or lightly active if you're using a TDE calculator online and see what it says there. But your workouts still count, right? Like, you can still put on muscle mass there. Like, don't feel like everything's just like thrown out the window, but you may need to eat a little bit less because you're not moving as much. And you probably won't be as hungry because you're not expending as much energy, right? And you can focus on volume eating, like those hamburgers I posted today. Maybe instead of the 700 calorie hamburger, you go for the same size hamburger but for 300 calories. So overall movement is limited. Start with a slight deficit of like 250 to 300 calories and adjust based on your weekly check-ins and progress if you're doing that. Number 5, tips for a flexible mindset when sick or traveling. Life will always throw you curveballs. It will forever be throwing you things left and right, and you have to be able to like dodge it and pivot and change your plan and not let it affect your momentum. Like, momentum is so important in a fitness journey, and momentum doesn't look like this, right? I'm going on YouTube, I'm going like a straight up and down line. It really looks like a wave. So even if you just do one thing when you're sick, hit your water goal, because that will help you get better, right? You're flushing out all those toxins and yucky germs out of your body. Hitting your water goal is such a good thing to at least look out for. Maybe still trying to hit like 75% of your protein goal when you're sick. So pivot and make new goals for yourself. And I mean, if you're deathly ill, right, like this is not important, like get better, go to a doctor. But also, if you're traveling on travel day, usually my one single thing I want to do is hit my steps on travel day, depending where I'm traveling, right? So I do laps around the airport. Like, I don't just sit on my butt all day. It makes me feel better. It helps my hips not feel as tight. If I sit for a long time, my hips feel tight. Honestly, they're getting tight right now. I just feel like I'm always walking. So with my new 12,000 step goal this year, which I'm doing pretty good at, but reevaluate what your goal is going to be and try to do it ahead of time if you're traveling. Obviously, if you're sick, you're not going to know ahead of time, so you have to like pivot as you do that. But focus on just like hydration, sleep, balanced meals, things like that. The next question is asking for good coffee creamer alternatives, and I feel like the best one is definitely using a protein shake in your coffee, especially if you like that's all you want to have in the morning, like that plus like a banana before your workout. I love the Chobani creamer, the cookie dough one Brett and I have been using, and it's super yummy, but it's like 40 calories for 1 tablespoon, so keep an eye on it because it adds up quickly. I think just whole milk sometimes is also a good option if you are looking for a little bit of carbs, but maybe you don't want the thickness of a protein shake, like organic whole milk with a little bit of even like honey in there. So yeah, that's what you could use there. You could also use monk fruit stevia drops. I've done that before, or even like bringing it to coffee shops, things like that. Next question is, what's more important, calories or protein? So remember, calories is gonna control your weight, right? And protein is gonna control how much muscle that you have, but they need to go hand in hand. So it's kind of like that question that someone asked in the last podcast, what's better, weights or steps? If I had to prioritize one, I would prioritize both, but just dial back as much as you need to. So if right now it's really hard for you to hit your calories and your protein targets, so you wanna just focus on one, what I would do is meet you where you're at, right? Like maybe your protein, you're hitting like 50 grams a day. So maybe the goal is 60 grams. So that's only 10 more grams of protein. Maybe your calorie goal is 1,700, but right now you're having 1,300. Maybe your new goal is 1,400. So give yourself incremental steps to hit in both, I would say, and then you can kind of forget about carbs, fats, fibers for now. Those are okay to put on the back burner, but protein and calories truly do go hand in hand. Remember that protein leverage hypothesis. You're gonna have an appetite you're gonna have an appetite if you don't hit your protein goal. You have a specific appetite for protein, and if you don't hit that protein target, you may try to find it from carbs and fats, and that causes you to overeat. So that's just one reason to make sure that you do both. Which walking pad do you recommend? I have the Deer Run walking pad on Amazon, and I really like it, and it's linked to my Amazon storefront. I will link it in the show notes. It's quiet too. I had one before and it was not quiet. Healthy weight loss amount per week, we kind of touched on that, 0.5 to 1 pound per week. It's hard to always know how much that is, right, because of our menstrual cycle and holding water weight. So if you have a smart scale, that can sometimes be helpful to check your BMR. Number 10, post-birth control, weight gain and hunger. I read that weird. Post-birth control, weight gain and hunger. You have to give yourself time for your body to restabilize, but you can do all these things, and if your hormones are out of whack, you just need to give it a little bit of time, but don't scratch that as time to just dilly-dally on your health and fitness goals. So what I would say is you expect water retention, expect acne, expect flare-ups, expect bad to happen. Hopefully that doesn't all bad happen because your hormones are re-regulating, right? Like give yourself a year, low-key, like give yourself a year to wean off of this. And then what I would say in the meantime is focus on your core things that are going to make you feel better. Strength training, walking, sunlight, taking care of your mental health, hydration, sleeping. That is a job in itself. So do that instead of, you know, trying to find the perfect supplement, trying to find the perfect new skincare routine. You know what I mean? Like get the basics down first. Keep your skincare simple. Simple is better is what I have learned. I'm saying that with this huge mountain on my face right now, but it's because my period's coming. So I know, so it doesn't upset me as much. But yeah, and also track your cycle. I would definitely track your cycle. And if I would eat out maintenance too. Like with all this stress going on, I wouldn't stress your body out even more by going into a deficit. Like really try to stay near maintenance with a very high protein amount and high healthy fats. You could lower your carbs a little bit more in this scenario because remember, fats are that main driver of hormone health. Avocados, coconut oil, butter, things like that. Number 11, hitting macros on paleo. So I wrote a few things down here. I have a few clients that do paleo for, you know, their own purposes, and I will meet them where they're at. So I have a few tips on that, but I don't personally eat paleo. But you want to hit your macros with lean meats, fish, nuts, seeds, root veggies. Those will really be your best friends. And for like carbs, you can include sweet potatoes, fruit, winter squash, spaghetti squash, protein, ground turkey, salmon. They have paleo compliant beef jerkies too if you need to like grab and go for things. But logging your food is going to be really important so you can see where those gaps are. Like, okay, eating this way, am I super low on fats? Am I super low on carbs? Like, where do I need to fill in here? That's why I like tracking. It gives you information. Number 12, belly fat that won't budge. So targeting belly fat specifically isn't possible. I had another person ask in the same Q&A how to get rid of your fupa. That's annoying. We don't want to hear that, right? But you need to just stick to your calorie deficit and your strength training. I know that's so annoying to hear. Build that muscle, stick to your strength training. Your body's gonna decide where you lose fat first. Mine's never my stomach first, so I feel you. But if you keep sticking to it for long enough and cut out more processed foods, I do notice that I carry more water weight, inflammation, and fat in my stomach if I'm in a phase of my life where I'm having a lot of processed foods, eating out a lot, more alcohol. Like, try to really reel those things in, even cut them out for a little bit of time and see how your body reacts to that. Stress and sleep are also big indicators of holding inflammation in your midsection. So, you know, really audit that, see how you're doing there with cortisol. But yeah, strength training, high protein meals, walking, stress, stay consistent, and the results will flow. Literally the same answer to so many things. It sounds so simple, and I think if it's just continuing, and the same thing with the birth control, if it's something's persisting, you're definitely going to want to get some blood work done. And I actually have an appointment scheduled to get some blood work done in a few weeks, and I just think it's good to do annually to check in, see where you're at. Like a full women's health panel, hormone panel too could be helpful. Mine's not covered by insurance, so I just pay out of pocket, but it's worth it to me because I can catch things quicker, you know, if something's wrong or anything down the line, and I want to be aware of that, and I don't want to pay like millions and thousands of dollars of medical bills down the line. Like, this is better for me now. It's an investment in my health. Number 13, Greek yogurt and cottage cheese cause bloating. Alternatives. Okay, so there's like coconut yogurt that you could do, but it doesn't have as high in protein, and you could put a scoop of like a vegan protein in it. Truvani has this like lemon bar vegan protein that's really yummy, and even I like it, and I usually don't like vegan protein powders. So you can do something like that, but if any food bothers you, you don't need to eat it, even if a bunch of fitness influencers and people are having cottage cheese for every single meal. If it bothers your tummy, like, ditch it, you know? If you're going for more vegetarian options, you could do like tempeh tofu, see how that soy affects your belly too. Like, for me, it makes me fart and makes me not feel good, so I usually don't do that. But yeah, I would say like coconut and almond bases are probably your best friend, and then you're gonna have to fill in the gaps for protein, because typically those are main protein sources for people that eat them, not carb and fat sources, whereas the coconut and almond bases are gonna be more carb and fat lenient, so you're gonna have to fill in the blanks with protein. Vegetarian protein without powder. Legumes, you can lean on beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh, edamame, seitan, I think that's the way you pronounce it. Eggs, if you eat them, right? And high protein grains like quinoa and buckwheat. These are more calorific again, so you have to just be mindful, track these things, see where your gaps are, see if you're hitting your protein but you're going way over your calories. That's something with a lot of vegetarians that I work with. They'll be like, Julie, I've been hitting my protein but I'm gaining weight, and it's because a lot of these protein sources that they eat are high carb, high fat, so we need to balance things out. Because if you're adding a lot of quinoa to your meal, but for example, and quinoa is your protein source, but you already have rice, that can make a surplus in carbs and then you gain weight. So mixing plant proteins too, like you can mix rice and beans together, but weigh them out and like see where that goes. And if you mix rice and beans, it gives it the full amino acid profile, and it makes it a complete protein. A lot of people say that plant protein isn't a complete protein, and it's technically true, but if you fill it with those amino acids, it does work. And I would say meal prep and track. Number 15, thoughts on Dr. Stacy Sims' workouts. I have never heard of her workouts, so I'm gonna look it up real quick. I think she cycle syncs her workouts to her cycle, but I'm not 100% sure. I do see that her philosophy is women are not small men, and I like that they have to train a little bit differently and fuel differently based on men. So I think that's important. They have to lift heavy. She talks about that, and it's a lot of research-backed models, and she does a lot of compound lifts, which is also good, but I would say to be wary of the cycle syncing workouts, because the science says that you should repeat a program for 4 to 12 weeks to see progress. So if that's your goal to build muscle, and it should be, because muscle gives you longevity and an independent life, and we all need muscle, and it's also a big preventer and indicator if you're going to survive a disease down the line. Like, the more muscle mass you have, the more likely your immune system's going to be able to fight that off. So yeah, I would just say, based on what I'm reading, it sounds really good, but I don't know about the cycle phases. Number 17, how to track pasta and rice. So pasta and rice will gain an ounce of water when they're cooked. What I would simply do is type in cooked pasta or cooked rice in your tracking app to make your life easier. But if I weigh out 3 ounces of dry rice, when I weigh it again after cooking, it should be about 4 ounces, gaining that ounce of water. And you can use that same fraction for pasta as well. Whereas protein sources is going to be the opposite. It loses that ounce of water. Okay, 18, preventing trash panda from stress. Okay, I think she's saying like binging from stress. I think that's what she means there. What I would say for that is to listen to my binge eating podcast, because I always say I don't want to brush over binge eating, because I struggled with binge eating for a very, very long time, and it's not like a quick second answer. So I have like 3 podcasts on binging. I will send them to you because I actually know who sent that question, because it was in my Q&A box. But just a few things. When you get that urge, you have to start writing, like you get that urge, the binge happens. After the binge happens, I think having mindfulness and not shoving it under the rug that it happened is super important. Like you have to think, what triggered me to do that, right? A lot of times it's stress, it's feeling sad, lonely, tired, super hungry because you starved yourself all day, or maybe you're on super low calories. Look at the facts surrounding the binge, what caused that, and then you can kind of get to the different tactics that you could implement into your life to prevent future binges. So if it was the fact that you didn't eat anything all day and then you had like a binge urge and you went through with it, it's fine, it happened. Now, next time, I'm gonna pack some snacks and I'm gonna make sure I have my breakfast, and I'm not gonna only have some fast shakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner like I used to do in high school, because that's definitely what caused my binges. So definitely listen to that. Okay, number 19, not number 19, I don't know what number we're on, I'm sorry, I was saying numbers. Coffee or energy drink? Me personally, I just love an energy drink, and I love the accelerators, the Rocket Pop, and the new cotton candy one is Brett and I's favorite. And you guys know I try to not like have a whole one, because actually more Alani's, I try not to have a whole one because it makes me super anxious. So I'll have like about half, and they do send them to me, which is so nice. But I need to message them to ask them to just send me the mini cans, because I don't want to be wasteful. In an ideal world, they have the large cans with 100 milligrams of caffeine. That would be perfect for me. 200 is like getting up there for me. Okay, last question, because I know we're going a little over our typical time. Working from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. How to stay healthy? Okay, I'm not sure how many days a week you work 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Hopefully it's not Monday through Friday. That's a really long time to work, girl. If not, you need to talk to your boss. And you need to say, hey boss, my coach Julie is going to email you, because that is redonkulous for 5 days a week. But I would say to plan a lot of your workouts around the days that you don't work out, because that is a lot, okay? And I'm not sure if you're sedentary during all that time, but if you can utilize your lunch and hopefully your dinner break, they give you a dinner break, to walk, I would split those breaks in half. Again, I'm not sure what those breaks look like. So if you can, like if you have a 40-minute lunch or 30-minute lunch or a 60-minute lunch, split it in half and try to eat nice and quick, and then do a lap around the building. For example, I see people in Brett's building, they'll do like laps around the building if you like forgot something for work. That's just fresh in my mind because that happened this morning. But yeah, so that's what I would say there, like walking on your calls and things like that, and trying to just implement it. And work days really just have that goal of bringing your meal prep, eating your meal prep, hitting your protein, and hitting your steps. Don't even worry about working out. And then on the days off, even if that looks like a 2 or a 3 day workout split, strength train nice and heavy those days, build that muscle mass. You can even do like a 40-minute strength session, like an upper body session, and then a 20-minute cardio, so you get that heart health going for the week. And then the other day you can hit it like a nice heavy leg day. That's probably how I would split it up. But anyways, thank you guys for listening to this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. When we move, I'm gonna get like a little podcast studio, I think. I'm really excited for it. I think it will be nice, and hopefully the audio will be a little bit better. But yeah, I'm gonna edit this and you guys will hear it in the morning. Love you.